Ever notice how male R&B groups just disappeared?
If it wasn't for Toni Tone, oh.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm coming back with a new video, and this is a continuation of my last video I did like a few weeks ago, talking about whatever happened to male R&B, and that was about the solo artists, solo male R&B artists. But this escalates into not even whatever happened to male R&B groups. Did you ever notice the disappearance of male R&B groups? Like, there's not even like, oh, male R&B groups done changed. To be honest, let me know if y'all can y'all think about 3 male R&B groups out right now on the radio, on the TV, on the war shows, popular R&B groups that's on social media. Can y'all think of 3 popular, mainstream, trending male R&B groups out right now? To be honest, I can't even think of one. So that's what made me think about this video and just like the history of male R&B and trying to trek and trail what led to the disappearance of male R&B groups. Because when you think about it, it's like, whatever happened to them? I know how I get, right? But I'm gonna try to keep this organized to like the beginning of male R&B groups, to the biggest hype, the popularity, to the surge, to where it started falling downhill, to now where I can't even think of 3, let alone 1 popular male R&B group out right now. And to really get on this, I'm not talking about pop, I'm not talking about K-pop, and I'm talking about male R&B. Being an avid music listener, and y'all know how I like my 2000s, I like my 90s, even the 80s, 70s, sometimes some music from the 60s. But when I think about it, I'm like, you got some girl groups out right now that's doing their thing, and I'm gonna make a video about that pretty soon. But I'm like, where are the male R&B groups? Where are they?
Where's your ass?
To help me out, I had to take some notes because there's so much and there's so many different points I didn't want to miss. And of course, I'm not going to be able to name every male R&B group, to talk about every male R&B group, but these are just some of the ones that stood out to me, like when I just thought about it off the top of my head, you know what I'm saying? Looking through my Spotify and stuff like that. And yeah, we'll talk about this down below in the comments. But you could think about it like when male R&B groups first came into like existence, it might even go further beyond this. But you think about like, that whole era of like the Temptations, and before them, you think about like black men. R&B groups consisted of black men, right? Teens, early 20s, sometimes in their 30s. And you think about like how they had like the hairstyles, and they used to be in the neighborhood. And you think about like how all these male R&B groups first formed. Most of the stories about is, oh, they knew each other from school, or they knew each other in the neighborhood, and then they would do like the doo-wop, 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 that type. Y'all know what I'm saying? Y'all know. I saw the Temptations movie. Y'all saw the 5 Heartbeats. Like, y'all know what I'm saying, right? Some of them would be brothers, some of them would be cousins, relatives, friends, neighbors. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They would get together, and then they would figure out. It would be like a 3-part harmony, 4-part harmony, 5-part harmony, where it would be like the one with the real deep voice. Then it'd be like the one with that mid voice that could carry the song. They might do the lead. Their voice was smooth enough, but agile enough to like sing lead and hit all type of notes. And then you have like that high pitched voice, not the high pitched voice, but like that sweet sounding voice. Then they would get together every day after school in one of their houses or one of their basements. And then they would practice until they felt great enough to audition for a label, Motown being one of the main ones, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you think about that story, you think about that history, and just think about like how, okay, they saw the talent, they came in to audition, it's Berry Gordy, one of them, then it's like picking the right song, picking the right single, then picking their outfits, getting them a choreographer, getting them media training, and having them put together a whole stage performance. Because male R&B groups, the thing with them back in the day that translated into the later years, it wasn't just sometimes you can stand up there and sing in a 4 or 5-part harmony, but you gotta do some dance moves, having the same matching outfits, have the hair, have the style, like get that engagement with the audience. all the women in the audience screaming and da da da. And then you have like, you know, even, you know, the men can enjoy it too, but most R&B male groups was like catered towards the woman and like the love songs, and you know, y'all know what I'm talking about. And you know, that 50s, 60s era is where male R&B really became a popular thing. The male R&B groups, and you know, they would travel across the world, across the country, hit after hit after hit. Now sometimes, you know the stories of, sometimes there will be those moments where they didn't have hits, but then they would have those big hits that we still know today. 50, 60, 70 years ago. Like I said, you had like the Temptations, you had the Isley Brothers, and you go into like the late 60s into the 70s where you had groups like the Stylistics, the Delphonics, Switch, and of course, how could you ever forget the Jackson 5? Like, come on. Do I even need to explain? And you know, with the 70s, it became a more smooth type of R&B, but then it became, you know, what else was in the 70s? Disco, dance, incorporated male R&B. Those groups incorporated a lot of dance songs. Not so much disco, but like R&B soul. But then you had the love songs, then you had those songs that you could dance to, and then, you know, everything was about the afro and then the outfits and then the, you know, movements on stage, and you had the ones that could play the instruments in the back. It was just a perfect harmony, you know. Putting together a male R&B group, you had to find the perfect balance in each member. Each member had to play a part. Even if, you know, in some male R&B groups throughout the history of time, there were ones that weren't the best singers, they still pulled their weight in some type of way. As, you know, doing the choreography, you know, looking good, or, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, they each played a part in the group, where it's like, if you took one of them out, it wouldn't be the same. We could go into the 80s, into the 90s, that's where everything started changing. You know, the hairstyle started changing, the type of music started changing, just the style and the, you know, just the way you saw male R&B groups. It became, you know, male R&B had more like a New Jack Swing, hip hop edge to it as it went on. You had the groups like New Edition, Toni Tone, come on, Jodeci, Boyz II Men, Belle Biv DeVoe, Soul For Real, next Dru Hill. Going into the 2000s, you had like Jagged Edge, 112, and how could I forget B2K? Now, growing up as a, you know, late 90s, early 2000s kid, I remember B2K was like the biggest male R&B group at the time. I remember, like, my cousin used to have the posters on the wall. You know, I think her favorite was like Little Fizz, I think. Y'all know how that was another thing where it was the male R&B groups where it's like all, you know, like I said, the demographic was young women, young teenage girls, young girls, where it's like, you know, y'all knew those girls in high school or middle school, wherever, where like back in the day with B2K and all of them, they had like their favorite member. They might have the posters, this or that. That was, you know, back in the day before the streaming era, right? But it's just like, that was the thing. That was the hype of it all. Having a male R&B group, and it's a thing that carried them. Like, they could have those love songs, but they could also have those party songs, and then those mid-tempo songs, and then those dance songs, and then that's the thing. You had to be well-rounded as a male R&B group. You couldn't just sing love songs, lullabies. You had to be well-rounded and sing different types of music that catered to different audiences, but still maintaining that hardcore fan base. Also in the 90s, you had the multiracial male R&B groups like All For One and Color Me Bad. Because, you know, another thing with male R&B, especially with groups, you really thought that it could, most of the time it would consist of black guys, black teenagers, black men, right? But along the way, you had those groups, like I said, where it was multicultural. Like, you heard it on the radio, you heard the song, and you would think, okay, whatever, it's one thing. But then when you see the music video, you're like, oh, it's a white guy in there, oh, it's a Latino looking guy in there, oh, you know what I'm saying? You'd be like, okay. But there was a point where male R&B crossed over to the pop charts, and it became like, you know, you started getting #1 song. It wasn't just, oh, little this, oh, the black charts. It became mainstream, charting on the Hot 100, #1 albums, #1 tours, things like that. And it just became a, you know, it was a phenomenon. Many male R&B groups became phenomenons, and you saw them all over the TV, you heard them all over the radio, and it became a big thing. And I know y'all know what I'm talking about. They were major components of the music industry. compared to today, where it's like, I can think of what was the last popular, quote unquote popular, you could say, male R&B group within the last 10, 15 years? The last ones I could think about, and let me know, it might be somebody I'm not thinking about, it might be somebody I'm missing. The last popular male R&B group I can think of is like Day 26. Y'all know what P. Diddy made with Making a Band? That's the last male R&B group I can think of. I remember they had some hit songs, and they had some songs on the radio, and I think they had a song like Since You've Been Gone. That's like the last popular male R&B group I could think of, and that was like in the mid to late 2000s, you know, like that 2007 type range. Over the last 5 years, over the last 10 years, I can't think of no popular male R&B groups that's just been dominating. I'm talking about like I said before in the beginning, all over the radio, all over Billboard, #1 albums, #1 tours. The award shows are booking them to perform. You know, just think about it. Even with the BET Awards, has there been any major male R&B group performances that you can go on YouTube and look at? The Grammys, the AMAs, the Billboard Awards, the VMAs. You think about it, somewhere along the late 2000s, it's like the whole entire thing of a male R&B group just kind of fell off, and they weren't in the mainstream anymore. You know, solo male R&B, okay, you might have a duet, you might have the male R&B singer with a rapper, like I talked about in the other video, but male R&B groups, a male R&B group that's dominating, they got hit singles and they got hit albums, and you know, they touring over the world, and they got music videos, and they being booked here and there. You see them all the time. Even now with the social media era, the streaming era, like millions of followers, and you might have like each member have their own individual page, and then they have the whole group page on social media. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, with K-pop, that's a whole nother, that could be a whole nother video. K-pop is like the complete opposite, where it's like an extreme, like millions and millions and millions of followers. You know, I go on one of their pages, you know, like BTS, for example. They make a post about whatever, they got like 1 million likes. Each member got like over 5 million followers, and I'm just like, wow, okay. Now K-pop over the last few years has blown into, but male R&B, the male R&B group, the whole entire existence of being a male R&B group has dwindled away over the last few years. And I always wonder, I'm like, what happened? Is there no search for it? Is there no market for it anymore? I'm pretty sure you get the right group of guys together, they have the right music, they got the right voices, and like I said before, you find the middle ground where it's like, who can sing the lead, who can do like the deep notes, who can do the most runs. You find that balance with their voices. You get that right producer, you know what I'm saying? You get that right producer, and it's magic. It comes time for the music videos. You get the right choreographer, you get the right video treatment, you get the right video ideas, and it's magic. But something happened along the way where they just disappeared. And I'm like, are there any popular male R&B groups? Like, I'm thinking, please let me know down below. Am I missing anybody? Am I missing any group? Like a popular male R&B group that's popular right now. Like, they got songs all over the radio, they hit, you know what I'm saying? And they popping right now. I can't think of not even one.
Oh my God.
I can't think of even one. And this is off the top of my head. I'm just like, what happened? Do y'all know what happened? Because I've been trying to figure it out for a while. Now, over the last few years, you might see the occasional video on YouTube pop up of like a group of guys singing a song together. Instagram Explore page, you might see like a male R&B group covering a popular song from a popular male R&B group back in the day. But as far as like a male R&B group that's dominating, that's singing that real R&B, like, you know, then you have, and that's another thing where it was the diversity. Even if, like I said, you know, you had the multiracial groups, but then you had, most of the groups were considered a black men. You had the lead singers that did the most, you know, they had, like, you could quote unquote say the best voice. They could do the most runs, they could do the most with their voice. Then you had those ones in the groups that could carry a tune enough to hold down the background vocals. They wasn't going to do a lead, but they could carry enough to where they can hold down background notes. You know, think about it. It's like, what does it all boil down to? What is the main reason why male R&B groups just disappeared? Like, I think it all boils down to the record label market, the music industry market. And over time, a lot of labels just realize that male R&B groups are just not selling like they used to, or maybe there's a group out right now that's coming together. A record label is investing money and time into them. You know, they putting them through like a boot camp. You know, back in the day, artists had to go through a boot camp to really get, you know, that artist development. Maybe there's a group coming out in a few months or next year. We never know. But as of now, it's a desert. It's like the whole entire need for male R&B groups has just been abandoned. I'm like, is there a market for it? Any of y'all watching this, listening to this, would y'all want to see male R&B groups come back? Because I feel like that's what it is. Like, the record industry, the music industry has realized that the market for male R&B is not the same as it was over the last few years, and record labels just aren't signing them. And maybe there might be some dope ones on social media, on YouTube, here and there. Might be some ones in your neighborhood. You never know. But there is nobody really. There's no talent scouters really looking for them. There's no A&Rs really looking for them. There's no record label heads really looking for them. So you don't see them anymore. They just disappeared. Everything is about pop and, you know, the solo R&B. But a group, and then you think about it, like the different egos and the different this and different that, and like personalities might clash. And y'all know how it is with just one artist. Even when it's a duo, think about like a whole R&B group of 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. Is like, maybe they just don't want to deal with that headache. It's something happened, and I want to know, what do y'all think caused the disappearance of male R&B groups? Now or back then, who were your favorite male R&B groups of all time? Who are some of your male R&B groups now? Are there any male R&B groups that y'all can think of that's popular, or that's, you know, making their way up there? They're like kind of like underground, becoming mainstream, that I don't know about. They got an Instagram page, they got a Twitter, they got videos on YouTube. Let me know down below in the comments. Let's discuss this down below, because the disappearance of male R&B groups is really noticeable to me, and I feel like not enough people talk about it. But I'm like, damn, whatever happened to just the male R&B group? They had those diverse songs, you know, the party records, the love songs, the ballads, the this, the that. And then, you know, the videos, all of them could dance. They had the choreography, they had the looks, they had the this, they had the that, they had the outfits, and they had the fan bases, and they had the screaming fans, and they had the toys and the merchandise, all of that. Whatever happened to that? What happened? Please let me know your thoughts down below. I can't wait to get this discussion started, and we might unravel it down below in the comments, because y'all know how we do in the comments. So please, guys, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see y'all in the next video.